Welcome to Perk Up Thursday. We are very excited to have Renee Sobotka for here as our speaker. She is the founder and CEO of True North Technology. And before we get started, before we hear Renee's story, we're going to introduce all of ourselves and then we'll get started.
Great.
Well, welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and Renee, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Very excited to hear your story today.
Yeah, absolutely. I took my sweet time waiting to be a presenter here. I've been a tenant here at the Focus Suites for about 4 years and just entering our 5th year. And first off, I just want to say thank you so much for everything that Southeast has done for me and all the coaching that I've received along the way, the tears that have been wiped away, and the celebrations too. So it's been a really great experience to be here. I highly recommend it if anyone's considering getting an office. One of my favorite memories was when I first started, and Andrew, he's here today, we sat down for like a get to know you lunch and he said, so are you gonna be here or not? Because we only like people that show up. And I was like, I didn't know if I was going to come in or not. And so that really motivated me to start coming into the office more. And it was really a game changer for me. I had a place where I could meet with clients. It felt more professional. I was able to stay more focused and not just bounce around from coffee shop to coffee shop anymore. So thank you for everything that you guys have done.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so I guess today there'll be kind of a multitude of things I'm going to go over, but first off, I'll just kind of introduce myself and sort of the background of how I got to where I am today. I graduated from the university here in Lincoln and had a finance degree actually, and I went into internal audit. I did some financial reporting in the banking industry for a long time, and then was a stay-at-home mom for 4 years. So any of you stay-at-home moms out there, I can relate with you. It's not an easy job at all. So I immediately went back into the workforce as soon as my son started kindergarten. And about 6 years ago, my dad died pretty suddenly, and eventually you go back to the real world and you sit back down at your desk and you think, what are my kids going to think at my funeral? Because I was genuinely so proud to like be his daughter at his funeral. It was like just hearing like all these people say such great things about the man that was, you know, your father. He was great at what he did. My parents owned a small business. They owned the lumber yard in West Point, Nebraska. And he was a builder, so he built custom homes, did remodeling, and that was back in the old days when you did everything, like from the foundation to the roof to the paint to everything. So yeah, people would just say, yeah, every time we look at our fireplace, it reminds us of your father. So so you go back and you start writing your financial report and turn it into your boss, and you think, nobody's ever going to look at that. They're not even going to know if it's right or not. I know that it's right, but so it kind of just makes you really think about the rest of your life and where you're headed. And it was like I could hear him talking to me like, okay, you're better than this. You could go out and do something else with your life. So just started thinking about it, and I set a goal for myself that I wanted to work for myself by the time I was 40. And I was probably 38, 39, I don't know exactly. But I had an Outlook reminder that popped up on my calendar every day, and I would see that and dismiss it. But it was a reminder that I was going to do that. I didn't know what I was going to do, but
What did the reminder say?
I will work for myself by the time I'm 40. So anyway, so if there's something that you're really trying to accomplish, it's something I actually recommend to people quite often, that visualization and you know, putting it out there to the universe that that's something that you want, that law of attraction does work. So I just started researching opportunities. Like I searched for franchises and I searched for anything, and I prayed on it and I asked God to send me the right thing for me. And I did have one short job change in there, but it wasn't the right fit for me, and I actually started getting into investing in real estate. So I got into residential real estate and would sort of flip houses, get them rented, and I was like, this is a great business model. Other people are going to pay down my debt. I'm going to just, cash this all in my retirement, and I want to do more of this. So I started going to real estate meetups and just getting to know more about that industry. And I thought, this is what I could do. I can get into this business for myself. And it tied in a lot of things from my upbringing with my dad being a builder and my financial degree and all those things. And so I bought another duplex, and then eventually I just decided, like, okay, if I'm gonna really go for it, I need to, jump off the cliff and see if my wings open up on the way down. And what's the worst thing that happens if I don't find any success with this? So I went ahead and I found the opportunity, which eventually led to True North Technologies. I bought a license for software called Easy Apps, and I was the app girl. I joined the chamber and I said, I'm Renee, I'm starting a business. I'm gonna develop apps. So looking back on it now, it's kind of hilarious because, I really knew nothing about developing apps. And the great thing about this particular company was that they were going to do sales training, teach you how to develop the apps, give you a landing page, which, now that's what we're doing for clients. Give me some business cards and some print material and send me on my way. And I didn't have a network. I had never done sales, so I had a lot of learning to do that first year. So I sort of wore two hats. I continued to grow the real estate business and started networking. I went to every networking thing under the sun. And Josh Baldwin was a former coworker of mine at Nebraska Bank of Commerce, and he said, have you ever heard of Perk? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, it's free. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. I have, no revenue at this point. So that sounds like a perfect opportunity for me. So that was when I first attended Perk Up, and it was a great experience. And I met a lot of people from that. And then that's just how that networking world operates. You move to the next networking group and you get invited to the next one. And so the circle started to grow from there. And I think that's my biggest advice to new business owners that are getting started, to go out there and grow your network. But eventually I decided to get that office, and then one thing leads to another, and not only are we developing apps, we're developing websites, we're doing SEO, search engine optimization, social media management, digital advertising, IP targeting, text marketing. Like, I really believe in bringing the latest and greatest technology to my clients. I believe that early adopters are going to be the winners in anything, any new technology that comes out. So I want to make that available to the little guy. I think that's really why I felt so passionate about what I was doing in the beginning, was like, I was fighting for the business owner like my parents. My mom had no idea what to do for marketing, and I kind of wish I knew then what I know now, and I really could have helped them growing their business. And so I really, truly enjoy sitting down with a business owner or, representative of the company, whichever, and finding out, like, what have they tried, what's working, what's not working, and developing a strategy that really fits their needs. And I want to add dollars to their bottom line. So starting with a great foundation with a website is, first and foremost, but beyond that, there's so many things that we can do for people. But recently I went on a trip to Africa, and I reread the book that inspired the name for my company. It was called True North, Discover Your Authentic Leadership, and it's written by Bill George. And this time when I listened to the book, there was something different that really stood out to me, and it was there's 3 phases of your career, and it starts with like a crucible. So moves on to the journey and the internal compass. But I really enjoy kind of thinking about my life in this way, the crucible for me was the death of my father. So it's a transformative life event, and it gives you a purpose. Like, I wanted to be somebody that my kids were proud of when they went to my funeral. So I guess that's kind of a weird reason to start a business, but at the end of the day, that is how it happened. And a couple examples that I think were good of a crucible is like the founder of Starbucks saw his father lose his job, and when he broke his ankle, so inevitably he was, let go, and then he decided to start a company that offered great healthcare benefits. And we all know what Starbucks is today. So then there's a journey where you move from I to we, and I thought this was really fascinating. I hadn't thought about my career in this way, but it was exactly what's sort of transpired over the years. And immediately, you go to college and you're trying to get that great degree and get a good GPA and get that best job out of college. Make sure you prove yourself to your boss and get your work done on time and earn the respect of your coworkers, get your 401k started and all that good stuff. But your world is just, this big. You really aren't thinking much further than that. You're just in survival mode, trying to get your rent payment and your car payment done and all that good stuff. So then you move into more of an active leadership role. They suggest it is around, age 30 to 60, and you might start having employees report to you or clients that you're directly responsible for, and you might even, who knows, you might even care about the actual company that you're working for, and your circle starts to grow a little bit, and you're starting to think like, where's my career headed? Like, what's my next step? And, how can I help the people around me too? And then you move on to a giving back phase, which is more philanthropic. You're wanting to leave your own legacy, just like my dad did. And you want to make sure that you're able to pass on your knowledge too. I think that's a really big part of the philanthropic phase. You'll mentor people, you'll find organizations where you can bring your skill set that maybe you learned in your career, but now you're using it to help, your church or your daughter's Girl Scout troop or whatever that might be. So I have a few more slides that kind of go into detail about that, but I wanted to get my story about how I got the business started done first. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit to that final phase, which is this giving back. But like I said earlier, had a really great experience. When I went to Africa, I was able to go to an NGO there, a non-government organization, and see what they're doing in the middle of the poorest area of Malawi. And that really changed my heart. I have a strong passion now for helping that organization. They have over 100 births on site every month. They are completely self-sustainable. They're, solar powered, wind powered, grow all their own food. They employ over 400 people and give them a daily living wage. It's incredible. They have a tilapia farm. They're growing macadamia trees and bamboo, and they've figured out a way to harness water and pump that water with solar power up to their fields, and I'm really passionate about this. And so if it's okay with you, I'd like to show a little video here that I have at the end. Let's see if it'll load. Yeah. So we were able to go and repair a well in one of the villages, and the kids were literally singing about water. They hadn't had water for like 9 months. It was just like immediately overjoyed when we arrived there. These women had taken a sewing class. They give them a sewing machine that's like pedal powered. the material, the thread. They teach them how to run a business, and they're basically giving these women like the opportunity to go home and take care of their families by earning a living wage. They were graduating, so they're practicing for their graduation ceremony here. We just happened to come upon it. This is like a little video when we were driving through the Child Legacy is the name of it. That's Hezekiah. He was an orphan, found like left in the middle of the country. His grandmother had been trying to take care of him. That's my daughter. Women working on the macadamia trees. Anyway, so Hezekiah had like terrible lice, full of worms, malnourished, was on the brink of death, and they just brought him in and adopted him and got him healthy. And my kids taught him how to play tag, which was just adorable. He couldn't understand English, but like you could still teach him how to play tag. Oh, this is them playing tag. He's fast and he's smart. He's wicked smart. Like you could tell he has been on the street, like just fending for himself.
And how old was he, Renee? Or is he?
I don't know. Everyone there, their growth is so stunted, especially when they've experienced malnourishment. They basically eat 3 meals a day of sema, which is maize that's been crushed into a powder and then like sort of like created into like a gelatinous substance, and that's all they eat. And that's if they're lucky, they get to eat that for a meal. Maybe some leaves of like cabbage leaves. We're back to the ladies. We need to do a video where it's more like in sync with like exactly what we did. We were able to plant some macadamia trees. They're at 18,000 trees that they've planted right now, and they're going for a goal of 50,000. And eventually those macadamia trees will be able to like support this village, and the revenue from those will support it. Right now it's being supported by donations. That was Jeff Rogers. He's the founder. He and his wife started Child Legacy actually in Zimbabwe. This is their second location. They have a school for all the kids of the employees. It's like so cool. This is where they're converting the bamboo. So they brought a new species of plant to this area. Indonesian bamboo had never grown there before. And they are able to turn that into charcoal, which is a way better resource because it grows faster, burns longer, hotter, has less waste for the atmosphere. And the country of Malawi is like set to run out of wood in the year 2030 something, like 2033 or 2036. They could have a tilapia farm. This is kind of the progression of the site, like everything that he started with barren ground, 40 acres that one of the chiefs just finally like allowed him to have. He's like, this ground is cursed and you can't grow anything here. And now he's slowly but surely bought smaller parcels of land, and he has 500 acres. And they're just doing incredible things. And as I was like coming back from Africa, I was thinking like, how do I move into that next phase, that philanthropic phase, but still run my company, something I'm still very passionate about, and maybe there's some alignment there. So we're starting to work with them on improving their website, their SEO, their social media. I'm doing like a weekly meeting with their United States 2 staff members. So trying to blend that all together, and that's about it. Any questions, I guess?
Yep. Does anybody have any questions? I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
So we usually ask speakers like what gets you perked up. I'm guessing that this philanthropic endeavor is probably one of them. What are some other things that motivate you?
I love connecting people. just, you know, when I sit down with a business owner, I'm trying to find out any issue that they're going through, and maybe there's somebody that I've met over the last however many years that I can connect them to. That does bring me a lot of joy. I enjoy those meetings with business owners, and I enjoy my meetings with my employees. They're taking care of everything here, making sure our clients are getting great service, and I get to hear about all the awesome stuff they're doing, and then maybe even a few issues that have come up, and try to help them with that. And you know, like Derek got a new car yesterday. Like, that brings me a ton of joy. Like, that's awesome. Super happy for him. So
That is great.
my kids. I do anything outside and with people. I'm very rarely not with people.
So what are some of your favorite local restaurants or local businesses that you like to do business to?
Vincenzo's is my favorite Italian restaurant in town. I do really love to support local. Rock and Joe is just an awesome place to go. Like, it just lifts me up every time, and luckily enough, usually I see somebody that I know there, which makes me happy. So they're just great owners, and really care about their business and their clients, and you like feel that when you walk in the door. So those are a couple of them.
Then you want to give them their business, right?
Yeah.
Because they feel that way. They
Yeah.
feel that way. Does anybody have any questions for Renee? Yes.
Hi, Renee.
Hi.
My name is Keith.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure is all mine. You actually said a lot of things that I found relatable, and I'm guessing I'm not alone at that. But my question to you, of the many things that are going on in my head is, before you had that little reminder, you know, you become your own boss by age 40.
Mm-hmm.
But you also said that was then. Do you have a reminder now that pops up on your screen?
I have so many.
I'm talking about the one for you. Like, you made this one as a reminder for you.
Yeah, like, I have multiple affirmations that pop up every day now, and like, seek wisdom is one of them. I trust and thank God is one of them. And it's interesting how, like, that's really helped me turn over a lot of my worry to Him. I don't have to worry about it, because even if it's like, if it doesn't work out, that was the plan. Like, it's okay. I don't have to be successful at everything. Everything doesn't have to go the way that I planned. Just sort of like leaning into His plan for me, and honestly, it took me to an amazing place that just like gave me a whole new lease on life. So the plan's working. I am basically succumbing to the fact that I am not in control, which is so hard for me, and my 18-year-old self would have just vomited. So those are a few of them.
Like I said, some of the things you said are very relatable, so thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
I was going to ask what are you learning right now?
Oh, that's a good one. We're working on, I always study built to sell. Eventually I plan on selling this company, so I always try to, there's 8 principles upon which if you improve your business in those 8 areas, inevitably you could sell for a higher multiple. So I listen to Built to Sell podcast, and you know, we're starting to work with Jenny. She's starting to learn more about that to help me, you know, improve our numbers, improve our profitability, reduce the reliance of the team on me specifically. That also, in turn, frees me up to go do some philanthropic things. That's one of them. I study Stoicism, so I get like emails from the Daily Stoic. I highly recommend that, and like to read a daily reminder of, like, they practice wisdom, temperance, and justice. And if you can be strong in those 3 areas of your life, then like you'll always be putting out good Like, you may not always receive the good back, but you're only in control of yourself. So I try to continuously be mindful of that, and some of those affirmations that pop up are related specifically to Stoicism. I am not perfect at this, but basically the obstacle is the way, you know, like allowing the suck in, because honestly, those are the good parts of the story of your life, right? Like, I mean, when you tell the story of your life, are you just highlighting all the cool stuff that happened? No, it's like, oh yeah, I got a divorce, my dad died. These were turning points in my life. So knowing that probably is still part of the plan. Like, you have to experience turmoil in order to really fully experience the good times. Those are important to me. You're welcome. I ramble.
I think I like that, just to let the suck in.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's pretty easy to build up that wall to do that.
Yeah. Well, and on my Nexus yesterday, I just loved what Rob Sanders said, and he, his like last words of wisdom were, an entity in evolution cannot be conquered. And so I always believe in change. Like, I'll never be satisfied. Like, there will always be something I'm working on. There's always something I can do better, my company can do better, my kids can do better. Trying to just mostly focusing on the things that I actually can control in that. But yeah, like constantly evolving, iterating, bringing new technology, improving process, being more efficient, and yeah, like just being a better human too, you know, like working on that morning routine. Like, I got out of practice of that, and I'm really trying to get back into my practice of that. So I don't even remember what your question was, honestly. I'm sorry. Did I answer it? Yeah. Okay, good.
And I also think it's interesting, when we read Rocket Fuel for our book club, and Jenny, I guess you introduced yourself as the integrator, right?
Yes.
And how you are utilizing the EOS system
Yes.
in your business, and I just think that that's great to actually see what we read in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a visionary. I'm a 100% visionary. Like, I need, not just like kind of like to have, like absolutely need to have an integrator beside me that keeps me grounded, does the tasks that I just cannot sit down and focus on, and you know, holding people accountable is a struggle for me. And yeah, if you haven't heard of Traction, start with that book, and it explains the EOS system, and it's essentially an operating system for running your business, if you haven't heard of it. And what's been really great is anytime like we've encountered like an issue, Jenny's really great about saying like, well, I thought about it, because we don't know what to do, right? And then she'll be like, I thought about it. With Traction, I think we should use this like people analyzer. And there's a lot of great tools in there to help you make decisions. So there's like, this is the process, follow the process. There's always an answer in the process if you have a good process. So it's an awesome program. It's probably for organizations a little bit larger than mine, but we just use the parts that are really applicable at a smaller scale, and implementing it early and often will allow you to scale, and it will always be a part of the culture. It won't be hard to implement at a later date, so you can start small.
Great.
And strengths.
Yes.
At the Focus Suites, one of the very first things they do for tenants is have you take the Clifton Strengths Finder, and if you haven't done your Clifton Strengths, absolutely do that. It'll give you top 5 strengths. It's only like $20 online. My strengths are futuristic, strategic, activator, individualization, and self-assurance. And just figuring out who you really are there's like so much power in that, because all of the like getting shit done is in the bottom half of my strengths. Like I need people to get stuff done. Like I'm great at starting things. The activator in me, I think about the future all the time and where we're going and how we're going to get there, and somebody actually has to do the work today. So but it gave me freedom to not like feel guilty about it anymore. So
And we actually had a meeting with all of TNT and
Yes.
all of their strengths, and I walked out of that meeting feeling like I had learned more than probably any of you had learned.
oh, that's cool.
I did, because it was so, that's our mission, is to provide that kind of coaching, and
Yeah.
that kind of those tools to you, but to be able to see how all of you can work together because of your talents. So,
Yeah.
I thought that was a really, and for you all to be open to having that.
And understanding what your coworker, how he or she might be interpreting something, or like why maybe they're not getting something done or they're struggling with something, and it's like, oh, if you look at the strengths, it's like we probably need to have someone help them with this, or maybe shuffle things around a little bit. Like that's not in their wheelhouse. Finding what you really are good at, but also the things you're not good at, is like equally important, I think. So yeah, when you encounter a conflict, or again, you're just like, what's the answer? Like relying on these tools. That's the number one thing that I've learned from being a part of the Focus Suites, is like, there's an answer in the data. Like, let the data be the devil, right? Like, so.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Renee?
Ray?
What's next?
That's a great question. Rick is my business coach, and he just gave me 2 cards that said, like, the 5 things that are going to happen in the next 5 years, and then 5 things that are going to happen in the next 10 years. And I haven't filled it out yet. I'll get back to you. I really need to sit down, and I want to take time when I do that. And yeah, I think, going to Africa really truly is like a life-changing experience, and I've gone twice now. The reason I went back was because I was so affected the first time that I went. I wanted to help. You see like extreme poverty and disadvantage, and you want to help and you don't know how. But then I was introduced to Jeff Rogers, the founder of Child Legacy, and I looked at their website, and I was like asking my friend Kevin, can you introduce me to him? Like, I'd love to, like, if they're doing what he says they're doing, like, I want to help. So that was why we scheduled the trip, and they're not only doing what they said they were doing. He's so humble, he didn't even like come close to like telling me what they were actually getting done. So there's like a reset period after trips like that for me, that it sort of like rocks your world and flips it upside down again, and you need to really reevaluate and redirect and find that direction, and then stick to it again, right? Like, you can't just constantly be throwing all the chips in the air, seeing where they land. But I do feel like I'm in sort of like a transition phase, so it's good timing for that exercise.
Thank you for sharing your story. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate it. And really, if we give Renee a round of applause. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming. Please eat donuts and drink coffee.
And next